Let's see. I might just check a couple messages. Okay, cool. So we've got a few people reaching out that have registered, but are going to catch us on the recording for whatever reason, unable to be here. So I'm just going to give it about 1 more minute. And in the meanwhile, if you haven't already, if you want to put your name and where you're tuning in from, that would be lovely in the chat, please.
Good to see everyone. I love meeting new people. This is fun for me. It's great.
Yeah, and it's so cool. I really appreciate like the spread. I sort of, kind of call up in my mind's eye a map, right? And it's like we've got North Carolina, Greensboro, we've got Sedona, Miami, Bozeman,
Oh, I've got some Phoenix. We got another Arizona. Carly,
another.
I'm from Sedona. Great. Neighbors.
Let's see. And at the moment, I'm coming in from Asheville, North Carolina.
Miami.
Yay. You're in this beautiful, it's shifted
Great.
into fall season here recently, just in time, like days before I got my bin of sweaters from Greensboro. So I'm equipped here. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and bear with me a moment as I orient my screen. And I'm just going to mute everybody to start with, but there will be some interaction. So just in case, oh, I don't want to mute you necessarily, Jacob. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Did you see that? Okay, thank you.
Good.
Beautiful. Right. Oh, just bear with me a moment.
Great.
Can you see are you seeing my slideshow or are you seeing all my things?
Oh, we see all your things.
Slide? Okay, hold on. Let me try that again. Thank you for your patience. There it is. And okay.
And this is a good beginning too, I always say in the workshops, that I present is embodiment, since it's embodiment, the doorway to joy. Notice your body right now, even in this space as we're waiting. Like, how is your relationship to just being in the body, waiting before this begins? Right now, I'm noticing in myself, it's so nice to relax. And I don't know how many people have that in this modern age where we're able to sit and just find relaxation on the moment. It's a fun skill to practice even when we have to wait. And with cicadas and just breathing into my belly.
My screen is giving me a little bit of a challenge, but all will be well. Let's see. Let's just share this for a moment. And let me see if that changes it. Are you still seeing all the things? Or are you
I still see all the things, yeah.
Huh, that is so interesting.
Unless if someone gives a thumbs up if they're still seeing all the things, it might just be me because I'm co-host. Okay.
Everybody, yeah, all
We
right.
all see
Sorry
all the
about this,
things.
guys. Here we go. Let's try this again.
Nice.
Winner?
Winner.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for your patience. Welcome. It's so awesome to be here with each and every one of you this evening, this Thursday evening in September, for this awesome workshop. I've really been looking forward to this, where Jacob, Massey, and I have the opportunity to co-collaborate with each and every one of you and with each other as we talk tonight about embodiment, cultivating embodiment as the doorway to joy. And so I invite you, and you'll be invited time and again when maybe it's like cue the word embodiment, that we take a moment and feel into the body. What does that mean? And so welcome. I'm so excited for this conversation and for the experiential practices. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Becca Marshall. I am the founder of ActivXchange. I'm an integrative practitioner, psychotherapist, and wellness coach. And I weave into my work a lot of mindfulness, energy medicine, psychology, and really blend Eastern and Western modalities into everything that I do and all of the ways that I live my life. At least I like to think anyways. um,
You
and
do.
yeah, it's an honor and a privilege to introduce Jacob, and Jacob, to have you here with me tonight.
Awesome.
So Jacob, I want to give just a little introduction here, and then I'm going to hand it over so you can share more about yourself. I had the privilege of meeting Jacob along my nomadic journey in February of 2022. We were connected by a mutual contact, someone who had actually supported me as a coach in the past. And I said, "Who are you working with? I'm sure you have some good people." And they linked me with Jacob. And since we have had an incredible connection and look forward to working together in a variety of different ways, it's been a privilege. Jacob is an energy healer, a somatic facilitator. And so for those of you who may not know, when we're talking about the soma and somatic facilitation, and Jacob, I know you'll speak more to this, but we're talking about the body. So in many, many ways, an embodiment facilitator. Jacob's work empowers our true essence to radiate at greater levels, naturally up-leveling the way that we show up in all areas of our life. He's a lifelong student of the body and the spirit and how they integrate and express together. Jacob is a mystic. He is a body worker, an energy healer. And I'm adding, just from what I know, you can change this, both a student and a teacher of energy healing and of life. I couldn't be more excited to be engaging in this with each and every one of you tonight. And Jacob, I just want to hand it over to you for a moment if there's anything you want to share, anything you want to say.
Wow, thank you, Becca. That was such a beautiful introduction. Yeah, I've been, I like to, you covered all the facets here of kind of my background. I just want peace. I've been a student of energy dynamics since I was as early as 3 years old. I remember seeing how energy moves through systems. And these systems could be landscapes, households, animals. And it turned into being very attuned to people's bodies. And so through that time, I noticed that there was a lot of universal qualities that happened in people's bodies that I was so sensitive and attuned to. What people would call a highly sensitive person, that was a gift of mine. So through the years, I studied that very deeply with people all around the world and worked with doctors, both Eastern and Western, learned from doctors and worked alongside doctors and saw miracles happen in the preventative medicine world that has been amazing, and integration of mind, spirit, and body. So really happy to share the wisdom that I've gained in this workshop today, and really to engage each person's field, because as everyone arrived, I'm engaging everyone in the way you hold yourself, the way you show up, the way you emanate. And we'll talk about that today a little, and really grateful. So thank you. Thank you, Becca.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And I think, as you talk about and share, thank you for sharing about yourself as a highly sensitive person. I think just knowing a few people in the room, that if we were to say, who here sees themselves as an empath or as a sensitive being, that many
Yeah.
hands might go up and,
Yeah, I saw a couple of hands. Yeah.
So, I think just to also set the tone, Jacob and I, and preparing, and you'll hear more about, we recognize the safety and the element of safety that goes into and is necessary for being embodied, for showing up here tonight, for being in space with people. And, perhaps it's a good opportunity also to ask questions if they arise about that, and any self-care, things of that nature. So, all right. So if some of our intentions, tonight we're gathering together with, my intentions are that you leave here with feeling like you've gained some enhanced skills for deepening connections to the felt sense of this human body and all that will stem from that relationship, that you'll receive tools for opening the door of joy in our lives. And we'll talk more about that and what that means to each and every one of us. We get to define that for ourselves. We get to hear more about that from Jacob's perspective, my perspective, and from yours. So this is an engaged experience, as much as you would like or not like. Totally up to you. Everybody gets to experience some energy medicine integration. And I'll be tuning in and offering some body talk and invite Jacob. We're going to kind of weave together through that. So you'll get to experience a little bit of both of our distance energy work that we do as we integrate all of the information we go through. So we'll be going through some information and then offering this energy medicine integration. And with all of this, we'll be learning about the natural healing powers of somatic practices for the body, for the mind, for the soul, and discovering its potential for serving as a foundational tool for the cultivation of our lifestyle medicine. Right? Lifestyle medicine. What do we need? What's in our toolbox and our medicine cabinets to keep us as individuals healthy and well over time? Our needs will change, and the way to address that will change. And so the hope is to offer some tools this evening. We are creating a container together, and this is an empowering health connection event. So with ActivXchange, I've been offering these and hosting these every other month. We've got another one coming up later this year. And tonight, just want to thank you all for your contributions and donations. Not only does it support Jacob and I in the work that we do in the world, but tonight we're giving back donation to Maui Strong, which is raising funds specifically for wildfire relief from the fires in Lahaina, Maui. So thank you all for that. We are recording, and so just keep in mind, right, taking care of your own needs with what you share here. It's not going to be ever shared to the masses by any means, but it could be that somebody else sees something that's on here. So just take note of that. As we go through this embodiment, cultivating embodiment, we're going to be defining, what is this? Discussing why are we cultivating embodiment, and experiencing what this means. So we'll be kind of giving that map of an overview, and we'll be stepping onto the territory together as well. Energy medicine, we're going to open the doors for questions, reflections, take homes. 9:15 we'll be closing the container. And then everyone can expect to receive an email at the end, not immediately at the end, but like within the next 48 hours, with access to the recording. If any resources come up that we'll be sharing, that's here. And this quote, just wanted to share this as we start. It came up when I was meeting with Jacob in preparation for this the other day. And something that speaks to me around embodiment and how it supports me in this life is that through the cultivation and practice, which I believe is a lifelong practice of embodied living, it helps me go out and travel and show up in the ways that I need to. And I remember working with a coach and a dear friend and teacher many years ago when I was much less in my body and much more in a place of kind of shielding and trepidation, not even knowing, right? Like not even knowing. And he said to me, you know, Becca, a ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are for. And so thank you for being here and feeling into where it is you want to go and what you want to do with your ship. So let's take a moment to arrive. If it feels welcome, I invite you to close your eyes or just lower your gaze, and perhaps bringing the hands to the body or just noticing where they wish to land. Sit, you can stand, you can lie, whatever feels welcome for you in this moment. Feeling into the sit bones or the bottoms of the feet. Let's invite a few full breaths together, breathing in. Smooth exhale. And again, opening to receive, filling into the lungs, filling into the chest, breathing. And tuning into those sensations of the exhale, letting go, softening through the body, grounding. Again, full breath, receiving, just inviting all of the energies of this day to arrive the best they can right here. Exhaling and feeling into the rootedness, the groundedness of self. Perhaps imagining as if there were roots growing down and out through the legs of the chair, through the body, traveling all the way down, floor by floor by floor, anchoring your being, our beings, into the loving hands of Mother Earth. Another full breath. Smooth exhale. Whatever way it's available, inviting the body, the heart, the mind to arrive. Perhaps calling to mind any intention or intentions that you have for being here today. Perhaps taking note of how you wish to show up. Maybe one word comes to mind. Just considering on this next breath what you'd like to receive. And on this exhale, releasing any holdings, attachment to expectations, while feeling right here into the groundedness of self. Inviting one more full breath in, receiving. Smooth exhale, releasing, releasing, releasing. Just allowing the sound of the vibratone, allowing the breath in the body to invite a gentle transition whenever that feels ready. And I invite you, as we're transitioning here into what's next, to just take a moment and consider what brings you joy. What does joy look like or feel like in your life? Maybe it's here now, maybe it isn't. Maybe it has been in the past, maybe it hasn't. There's no right or wrong, just a gentle inquiry. And if it feels welcome, I invite you to share anything that's come up in the chat, anything you noticed as you arrived tonight, perhaps an intention that you have for being here. What was it in you that said yes, that went through the day, that logged in today? And if there's anything that brings you joy, just taking that moment. Breathing. Yeah, today's the fall equinox. I love that, Patty. Happy Gratitude Day. Excitement to learn about embodiment, energy, and body integration. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. So let's take a moment to define cultivation, right? Cultivation is the act of like promoting or improving on the growth of, like this image of this little young human watering this plant, right? That's one way that we cultivate. We add water, we bring in sunshine. For us human beings, maybe we spend time in solitude, maybe we spend time connecting with others. How do we promote or improve the growth of something? And tonight we're talking about embodiment, the cultivation of embodiment, which I put in here one of the definitions of embodiment by Jacob, who said, embodiment is having a feeling relationship with the innate knowing of your body. The curriculum of the modern age, right? We all know, right? Human sapiens sapiens. This is our one of our scientific names. The beings that know and know that they know, right? Often. We have the capacity, human beings, and we come into this world with so many incredible skills, just in our own little, beings, with so many incredible resources, and yet we're tasked with learning so many things. I am, to date, I'm convinced that we're human learners, that we are students here in life, just as much as we are beings, and that we're actually students of being. And I think it's so interesting that it's like right in the name. But as we move through these natural ebbs and flows, it's not uncommon for us to become disengaged from the felt sense, which is actually one of our skills and one of our resources for being a learner in the world. Those of us who are kinesthetic learners or empaths, or, oftentimes we feel this in our body, right? And there are reasons. We'll talk about that, why we become disengaged. But learning to connect and engage with the physical body is a skill that lies at the heart of our life experience, especially in today's day and age. I think that perhaps, I don't have recollection of living then, but, and earlier times, there was a different connection. And I also think in certain cultures still, there is a different connection than is here necessarily in the United States or in the Western world. I'd love to hear from you, what comes to mind when you think about factors that might be contributing to some of this disconnection. So if anything comes to mind, there's no right or wrong answers. feel free to put that in the chat. What contributes to this in this modern day? Absolutely. Stress, trauma. Yeah.
Social media.
Social media. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Becca and Jacob, I'm so sorry. I have to end my time here in this workshop, but I'm so grateful to the lessons that I've learned from you, Becca, this far in my life, and I'll be here next time. More
Thank you for
present.
being here. You'll catch the recording. Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
everyone, have a good night.
Bye,
Thank
Danny.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Beautiful. Busyness, right? What affects the disconnection? Effects of COVID, the lockdown? Absolutely. Absolutely. Still, we're feeling that. We're experiencing that. The environment, the fast pace, there's this emphasis on doing, moving forward. What are we checking off the list? What are we getting done? In interest and being entertained. Quite honestly, Danny mentioned social media, right? But it's like, oh man, right? Which I think ties into and can be separate from an absence or a lack of tolerance for discomfort. How do we be with discomfort? We have our instinctual drives, emphasis on production. Absolutely. Thank you. And so many of these things can be seen as a standalone, and also, they weave together, right? Patty mentioned stress and trauma. What about the stress and trauma of the busyness, of the production, of, feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to be entertained all the time. I don't really know how to sit with boredom or solitude sometimes. What about connection with people? Even maybe there's too many people in the room. I don't know how to tolerate that, right? We have different levels of distress tolerance, and we're each individuals there. Often we're not even aware that this is happening, that the disconnection from the felt sense of self is present, is here. And so just take a second. You don't have to put this in the chat. You're more than welcome to, but just take a moment and think of a time, recently or not, when you know that you showed up and it was maybe from a place of more reactivity or not being connected with the body. And if something comes or something doesn't, let's just take a breath. Feeling into our sit bones. Here you see this scale. This is a scale of our emotional feeling tones. And what you can see on here is we've got the pleasant, the neutral, the unpleasant. Some of you may have seen this before. I love this as a teaching tool, right? And what happens is that this goes into like our natural instinctual response, our vital response, the nervous system response. It's like hot stove, right? When there's something unpleasant, we retract, we avoid, we want to get away from. And that is a protective mechanism that is there. It is good. So many of the things that occur in our body, including our disembodiment and disconnection, is often rooted in the body as attempt to protect us and attempt to do well. So what happens, we've got these two images to the right of the scale. We're pushing away the stuff that doesn't feel good, and we're holding so tight onto the stuff that does. And this creates pain because it's not all that often that the stove is actually hot. It's just that we don't exactly have the tolerance for how to be with the discomfort to experience that. Practicing and cultivating embodiment helps us to build this tolerance so that we can respond and we can actually register, I'm not in danger. This is okay. I remember a mindfulness teacher of mine one time talking about sense. And I still find this pretty funny, but they're like, is like the smell of a skunk even bad? Like here we are immediately, oh, a skunk, oh my gosh, disgusting, disgusting. It's like, is it really even bad? Like take a moment. Is it just a scent? I definitely don't want to be sprayed by a skunk anytime, but just, what if we just take a moment and say, like, what's actually here? What's the truth? The limited connection or the limits on our connection to ourselves contribute to the tensions and the contracted states that we experience in our body. Not only do they contribute, but like it creates that, right? So when we're pushing away or when we're holding on, there's tension. And so to be in that dance and to be experiencing, oh, I like this. Okay, more. Oh, I don't like this. No, no, no. Right? Like there's a part of us that's in that dance very frequently. And just to become embodied doesn't necessarily take that away, but we can build a different relationship with it, and it can certainly quiet down and we can open. And Jacob's going to be sharing more about that tonight. But the effect of the contraction can narrow our thinking. It can limit our perspectives, creativity, insights. And so much of this goes back to that stress and trauma, right? What is like our capacity for engaging embodiment is rooted in our sense of safety and our sense of security here, internal. We can be impacted by traumas known or unknown, sometimes intergenerational. We might be living out something and healing something that started 5 generations back in our lineage and is hanging out in our experience, our psyche, our DNA. And we know through the study of epigenetics that we can shift that. We can take responsibility for that by changing the way we show up to it in our internal environment here and now. And so often, though, when we're in that dance, we are like overriding the signals, right? When we're in that dance of the push and pull, and it takes us out of the body, doesn't feel safe to be in those signals, we can then begin to override our signals and not recognize them as a language that's communicating, is the innate wisdom, the inner knowing that speaks through our system. The signals of the body inform and guide us. Whether we understand their language or not, they hold truth. And this alone, just holding this alone, right, to use a psychology term, this can validate. Right? When we can validate, that is like a tool we can reach for standing still with the experience in the moment. Discomfort is here. I don't know what it's trying to tell me, but it's here. We can take a breath. We can open. And learning to be able to turn toward these signals, to listen to and sort of consult with them, we begin to broaden our access to a fuller range of our resources, yours, mine, our resources for being a learner, for really engaging this life as a human being. So powerful. It influences our perspectives, how we tend to perceive the situations, experiences, other people, ourselves, even in the world, right? It's rooted in, can we stay centered in the body? Can we be here? Can we be in this fluid conversation with the signals that are here, built from this foundation of safety and built in trust? Are we seeing through the lens of love? Are we seeing through the lens of fear? What tends to drive the behaviors in the internal environment? Okay. And as we go through this, the invitation is for a mindful approach, right? Understanding that there are a lot of very valid factors, and this stuff isn't all that easy. Simple, maybe, can sound really simple, but not that easy. So we look for the soft entries. We pay attention non-judgmentally, on purpose. We know our limits. I'm being invited into the body. Doesn't feel safe. I need to leave. Okay. Right? Okay. That's cool. Knowing that is where part of the difference resides. There is beauty in the autopilot, right? This is not about shaming the autopilot. So thankful for that. It is a necessary and incredible gift. Can you think of a gift of the autopilot?
Breathing.
Breathing.
Mhm.
Driving to the grocery store, right? If I had to relearn how to do that every single time, I do. Over the last 2.5 years, I have had to relearn that many, many times. And trust me, I am now about to stay put in the same area for 4 months. And I'm like, one thing I don't have to learn again. But I didn't have to learn how to turn on my car every time. And I didn't have to learn, how to put the gas in, right? These things serve us. They actually it's like a resource, a reservoir for energy. Awareness is the key that opens us. I like to say it opens us to the breath. Awareness, it's like a cascade, opens us to the breath, which opens us to the felt sensations in the body, which opens us to choice. This cascade of events that are triggered when we actively engage the option to become embodied. Right? Do I want the brand new experience of having to pay attention, right, out of autopilot next time I'm driving my car? No, I don't. I want to pay attention to where I'm driving and where I'm going, absolutely. But I don't want to relearn all of those steps all of the time. I do want to be able to have that choice. Embodiment deactivates the default mode, giving us this choice. It brings us out of autopilot into conscious awareness, and it activates the choice mode. It allows us to have the option to shift out of the repetition of patterns and behaviors that we don't necessarily want to repeat anymore, but we find ourselves in, and it activates new potentials, which opens us to greater internal harmony, more integration in the whole of the body mind, and expanded or broadened perspectives. As we engage embodiment, there are so many different benefits. We begin to resolve traumas, experience more emotional resilience. We build our stress tolerance and threshold. So, to use my kind of silly example, but real example, it's like we can notice, like, does this thing really smell bad or not? Do I need to leave the room, or is it okay? And we can start to engage that choice, which reduces our stress. We begin to feel into the fuller range of our life experience. This brings more ease in the body, opens us to self-compassion, deepens our connection with self, with others. As we expand this, our access to clarity, wisdom, and decision-making grows. This is how embodiment is the doorway to joy. It is a practice that opens us to the opportunity to know and follow our true, authentic self, our inner authority. And as I turn it over to Jacob, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I just wanted to share this because I felt that it was so beautiful. This is the full definition that Jacob shared as we were preparing for this together. And, I love this, and I'll share this with each of you in the email that follows. Embodiment is having a feeling relationship to the innate knowing of the body. This relationship in its essence is the journey back to safety, belonging, joy. The listening, alive, and feeling body is always in contact with what it needs to return to safety. I love this because it speaks to like our inner validation right here. With that, I'm going to hand it over.
My goodness. Wow. I'm writing notes from the slideshow. There's a few points on the slideshow I want to talk about, and I want to hear about other people's experiences of it too. And I feel like I'm a student just with y'all, and we're all just learning together right now. But one that stuck out, Becca, and I want to just offer this up to the group because it's going to segue into some more facts about embodiment, was integration of experiences. And so in my work, working with a lot of people, thousands of clients, is that this fast-paced learning, like we'll learn this today, we'll be with each other. But how much of the body's also learning in this environment? And are we slowing down enough for the body to process this information as well? So I worked a lot with people who've done trials with plant medicine, with therapists, and I noticed that a lot of people will get ahas on a mental sphere, but their body will still be in chaos. And their mind's going so quick. They're like, oh, I got this insight, got this insight. Oh, so great. And I asked them, have you slowed down enough to see what your body has to say about it yet? And they're like, wait, what? My body has to say. I said, yeah, has your body told you how it's integrating this into the wholeness of your life? And I think this is kind of the pandemic in a way around the embodied healing world, is that we go so quickly, our body has an ABCs that we're not giving it credit to. So there's a deep language of the body that if I slow down right now, the whole entire listening of my body will guide this moment. It'll tell me why that information is important for my life, why that insight makes sense. So I just want to bring everyone into this palpable sense right now of what's an experience you feel, and you can write this down, that you could ask your body how it's integrating it. What's the last experience you're like, wow, I wish I gave my body a little more time to let that in and let that really through every channel of my body, wherever it wants to land. It could be letting love more in because you've had this beautiful experience of this connection that we just kept going. So life just happened and we didn't let it in. A lot of the things people regret is that they didn't let something fully be felt, living their life. And that's what the body is here for. It's a feeling experience. So let that simmer for a minute. What's the last time of slowing down and allowing the language of your body to be the forefront of your experience? And the next time you meet someone, what would happen if you met them with your body instead of just your mind? How would you feel if you opened up your body and said, okay, let me see my capacity of receiving someone I really love, where it feels safe, that is, and see how the experience in the moment is going to shift for you and all the new textures and layers of going, wow, I really felt you. Like I really want to hug you there. Or the opposite. I really didn't resonate with that moment. I wasn't being honest with myself, actually. So now what I'm pointing us towards is the awakening of a deeper intelligence that our culture hasn't really pointed to. It's going, yeah, I did not resonate with that moment. Can I be honest with that yet? And that's a whole nother inquiry and journey. Or I really love that person and I haven't told them and I feel it because I'm finally slowed down enough to feel the feelings in my body. So why is embodiment important? Well, it gets us honest. I'll also say it gets us more intuitive. So a lot of healers need to be in their body, or people who are very guided by a deeper force. They're usually very tuned into the subtleties of their body. Go, no, that didn't feel right. Or yes, that felt very right. There's a attunement there of a deep sensitivity. So we rely on the facts of the mind, but the mind is a product of the past. The body is this living vibratory experience that actually has a very coordinated language to it. It's coordinated. It's very intelligent. It's not fanciful feelings. It's a very deep language of intelligence. So I really want to anchor that in today, that the body has an ABCs that we're relearning as a culture today. And I promise you, it has an internal GPS system that's specific for you, completely specified for your greatest potential unfoldment and becoming. So that's just my beginning. Nice. So I want to bring in a really cool scientific fact. So has everyone heard of the vagus nerve? Raise your hand if everyone's heard the vagus nerve. It's a nerve in the spine that coordinates information from the body to the central nervous system to the body. There's something very fascinating about this nerve. And this is where I dork out. And when I learned about this a while back, it blew me open because embodiment is a new language right now in the scientific world and also in holistic world. And we're just unfolding it. We're learning new information about the body every day. And the coolest thing I've ever learned is this very fact. 80% of the vagus nerve is an afferent pathway. I'm going to tell you what that is in a minute. And 20% is an efferent pathway. Now, for the science nerds, this would nerd you out because it gets very fascinating from here. This means an afferent pathway is information from the body to the brain. An efferent pathway is from the brain to the body. But our main central nervous system nerve is actually body-based, not mental-based, as information going to the central nervous system. So this means most of the information that you're giving your mind is actually coming from the embodiment and felt sense of your body. Only 20% is coming from your mind to your body, which is significant in itself. That 20% is pretty significant. But this means this is where I have a lot of fun here, and I'm going to bring us into a practice of this as well. This means that when you go into your body, you're changing your brain. So if I were to say, breathe into your belly for 5 minutes, your biochemical makeup is completely shifted. Completely. And we can go into a metaphysical state and say, when we actually embody our body starts changing. The energy structure in our body starts feeling different, and qualities start arising. So if I just sit in my body and just sit here, it's almost like the mind gets to de-stress and find a rhythm with nature. If we can sit there long enough, most people don't feel safe. So where do we start? Where's the pathway to go? How can I really be here? Because we're all equally there, but practice makes, some deep skills for us. The beginning place for that afferent pathway of the vagus nerve is your belly. It's right in the sacrum, which is a very interesting word because sacral, sacred. There's something about the sacral region, the pelvic bowl, that has resonance to the depth, instinctual awareness, and belonging of our being. And that's kind of what I want to present today for everyone is how do we find belonging again and safety so then everything else can blossom from there. So I wrote earlier that the mother of joy is safety. I was having fun. I was just doodling. I was like, oh, the mother of joy is safety, right? Kids play when it feels really good. It feels very safe. The parents are there, everyone's watching, community. But how's our inner community and how do we create that inner safety? And this is the place to do it, is this belonging in the depth of our belly, in the depth of our sacral, right there. Why is that significant? Well, if I were to drop my awareness down and do it with me as I talk, so we'll just practice it. And I start going down to my belly. Notice what your mind picks up. Notice if it goes to, I don't know, some unpleasant sensations or maybe you feel good in the lower belly. But notice what your mind's attuned to, because one of the greatest things about being in the body and meditating is it shows you what you're pre-exposed to, like where your mind wants to go, usually. Sometimes we go to all the negative things, like, oh, this sensation isn't good. But what if we just sit back and ask your body, where's the safety in this moment? And sink and breathe. And make sure the breath is a long, smooth inhale and a nice, long exhale. And I want you to ask your body, what is safety? Where do I find safety? Especially for the sensitive ones. And take note where your body's guiding you in this dynamic moment. Now I want us to bring our attention into the back of the spine, at the bottom of the spine, to see if you can sink there for a minute. And see if your whole mind can melt as layers down into the body, into the back of the spine, and just rest right there. And fill that place up with as much breath as you can, and exhale and just pulse the air for a minute. Just be. We're making a direct contact with the vagus nerve inside our body. You might be slowing down. And where our attention goes, it starts activating the intelligence that's present in that place in our body. Your attention is an activator of embodied intelligence. We sit, we feel. If it's overwhelming, you can always come back up, but this space usually will be pretty solid for most people. Pretty safe. And then bring that energy all the way down into the feet and see if your feet can feel like it has a felt sense of connecting with the earth right now, connecting downward. So we're making this deep, intentional connection with this downward force of our body. As your awareness is still with the bottom of the spine, connecting downward. And as we're sitting with this, I would love people just to put a comment, a couple comments in or to the chat of what you're experiencing when you're ready, if you want to share something. What is it like to sit at the bottom of your spine and be and breathe? What's your experience like? And again, this workshop's about authenticity. It's about being with the experience of your body as it's unfolding. So, be with the reality of your feeling, whatever you want to share. Mm-hmm. That's a good one, Patty. That's the root finding its way of settling down into the earth. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah. And I'll take questions in the very end too around the specifics of why we have certain symptoms, um, and why rooting is one of the most positive things we can do on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level. It's pretty significant, especially the vagus nerve here. Yeah. Yeah. Tired and dense. Good, Catherine. Nice. Beautiful. Especially for highly sensitive people. Usually when we ground, we can release a lot of other people's energy. Just to let you know. It's a big one, actually. As we ground, we actually strengthen our bioelectric field around us. It's very measurable. So as I connect into the earth sense, there's a lot of energetic reasons we could say from energetics, we create aliveness. We start stimulating our sense of belonging, security from a felt sense level. So it's easy to think I'm from Gloucester, Massachusetts, and I can keep convincing myself of that. But it's another level to unconditionally feel belonging and settledness and home. And that's the rootedness. This is us coming back to the earth and say, body, what's your sense of safety? What's your sense of belonging? And this one meditation of bringing the energy down has a big impact on our sense of financial stability, belonging, having enough resilience to actually do our path and our goals. Some people are too scared. They're like, I know I'm meant to do that, but I can't. Mm-mm-mm. The minute we start opening to this grounding and allowing it and strengthening it, it will change the sense of how we're engaging our life in a deep way. I just want to see if there's anything else. Release stress. So as I'm talking, as we're still engaging, still feel it. See if you can still keep your sense of feet as your eyes are open. So even Trish and Mike, even with it's still unstable, as you're sitting here and we're engaging, see if there's a wisdom to that instability and you follow it a little and just settle back in. See if you can move with it as well. What would it be like to feel grounded? Right? What would it like to feel calm, safe, belonging, empowered? Right? In a lot of the energetic traditions, this is the beginning to everything else. This is the deep beginning. We ground. This is the shortcut to the nervous system finding integration. A lot of monks and a lot of traditions, both Chinese, a lot of Occidental traditions will put the breath down in the belly button for a while, for years. And you'll notice they actually have this stability, peace, and silence. Why? Isn't it interesting that a lot of traditions, even some Christian and Western traditions, breathe downward? And what happens, I'm guessing they do this because it makes them stable enough to do deeper and more expansive work. So this quality of downward force has a stabilizing aspect for our nervous system. We call it the sacral brain. And you can write that down. I feel like we're listening to a recording. The sacral brain is the second brain. And fascinating enough, our gut has as many, I think more, maybe, or as almost close to many neural connections as the brain. So it's fascinating that these old traditions talked about putting our awareness here and feeling stable, and it has as much neural networks as the brain, if not more. That's a fascinating fact as well. So science is backing all this up now. So let's sit here just a little longer in the lower part of the body. And with this one, I want us to feel gravity come down. See if gravity can help us feel more of a downward feeling with the body, a downward energetic connection and belonging. And keep your eyes open. You don't have to close them if you don't want to. And see if you can feel the slowness of your body finally catching up with yourself. Good. Interesting enough, this grounding is the mother of aliveness, true sustainable aliveness. The other aliveness, people who get very excitable, almost like caffeine, kind of goes down quickly. But as we're grounded, our capacity in our body can hold more experience. So your grounding chakra, energy center, dantian, which is the belly, it's a specific center, is it's the center, it's the holding capacity for your life of how much you can hold and contain in resilience, energy, and experiences. And if we're ever overwhelmed, come right back and just breathe. And you might get tired, but eventually the tiredness will go away because your body caught up. It caught up to this lifestyle that probably hasn't been whole for a long time. So if we get tired, it's usually your body catching up to its true energetic level so it can reset into your true nature. Good. How's everyone feeling? Give me a little like funky gesture. Peace. There's peace going on there. There's like a little like, yeah, with a thumbs up. There's a smile from Catherine. We got Trish and Mike over there. So there's a few things of why this practice and just settling back is a doorway to joy. So my definition of joy is the uninhibited you without any energy block. So the joy here is coming from a deep sense of belonging and safety. It's a sustainable joy. It's not a joy that comes and goes. It's a joy that your body's always emanating. It's a quality of the body. So how do we come to the qualities of the body? By starting to come in, and yes, it might get uncomfortable. It might get deeply uncomfortable. But the product from moving through these layers and grounding is going to be sustainable qualities that emanate from you. It's sustainable healing. It's sustainable beingness. So here's a couple qualities I would love to share with everyone. The qualities of the body. Let me see here. Which for me is the product of joy, which I think we're all seeking. So as we breathe in the body and we ground first, it gives us the ability, this earth connection, to then feel. So I can say like, I'll do this. Grounding from here down. Feeling is from the chin here. And you could say surrender is from the whole experience of your field. That's just a little thing to kind of recognize. First, creating safety, feeling our feelings, and then surrendering into insight. So the first quality of the body that I like to talk about is connection. It seeks to connect. Your body seeks to connect. It wants to. It's actually trying to. We get in the way usually of it trying to find balance or connection. So your body's always seeking to like, how can I connect? How can I expand? How can I grow? Our ego, or you could say not the greatest mental programs, get in the way and disconnect it. The next quality is silence. The mind doesn't know silence, but the body does. So when we fall back in our energy, there's some silence about that energy that's natural. So when we fall back in our energy, that energy knows itself, it becomes quiet internally. The third one is one of my favorites. It's aliveness. And aliveness births from silence, actually, true aliveness. And if you have any questions about this, please ask me in the end, because I might be going a little. Some people might not know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's okay. Aliveness comes from when the body's rested and safe, a deep inspiration comes forward. That's why getting in the body is very experiential in this way. And with all these together, along with safety, joy naturally arises because it's uninhibited now. You're like, oh my God, I know who I am. I feel grounded. I feel safe. I feel quiet. I feel inspired. Your life births joy. This is the product of going in and breathing down into that nerve in the body. So, as I said in the beginning, as we get into the body and clear out this data and these qualities arise, the brain changes and an inspired life comes forward. So as we say, the shoulders drop. That's remarkable. That gives you more room and space to feel more of your feelings and your truth coming forward. So as we release the tension, your truth comes more forward. There's more space for you to engage creatively this life and who you are. And this pathway downward into the sacral is probably the primary in my work that I see to be the most beneficial. We all go from the heart up, but I would say create really good roots and blossom. And I'm still, from years of practice, always going to root first, always going downward, you know? And I wrote one more quality. This is the last one, and I'll hand it over again, is dignity. How many people can say that they feel dignified about their life? Like, oh, my body's dignified. Like I'm here I am. I'm going to engage you. I know myself. Here I am. And that's an embodiment quality as well, to feel dignified in your sense of self. And that's a very beautiful thing as well. So thank you guys. Yeah, just letting that all soak in. Again, I like to be very experiential with the knowledge, but this one pathway is a pathway to get any intelligence started through the body and really make it real and make it really catch on a momentum here. Yeah. Okay. Becca, if you'd like to say something, or if anyone has any questions too, I'm open to that as well. There's a lot to this one aspect. Yeah.
I'll just jump in for a moment, and I definitely were, you were talking about like it could feel uncomfortable to be in the body. And so it just rose to say, right, this is an example of a place and a practice where tolerance can be built over time. And if we bring in that, like the mindfulness piece, where it's okay to say like, okay, enough right now. One of the things we're doing is we're building a relationship of respect with the body. When the body says, we say, it's okay. And we step away, but we come back, and that's the thing. Sometimes we do want to take those soft entries. We don't want to force, right? This overriding and forcing over signals, it does the opposite of trust. It's like a betrayal of the system and an invalidation of the importance of the message. However, when we don't have a tolerance for the discomfort or the unpleasant, and we want to build that, sometimes we have to stay steady and say like, this is where self-talk and reassurance, like, okay, I know it's not comfortable, and let's just see if we can stay. If not, it's okay, right? I can end at any time, but let's see, or okay, let me take a break, and then can I come back? it's a conversation, right? We're befriending the body. And as Jacob's talking about, it beautifully guided us, thank you so much, into this reservoir of safety, our root, our ground, right? And that's this being, each of our beings, but we're speaking energy here also. And that's, as he talked about, like, our biofield, essentially the force that it receives from being rooted. And anything, to bring in some indigenous wisdom, anything we're doing in this lifetime is stemming 7 generations forward and 7 generations back. And so whenever I'm thinking of the roots, it's like we're tapping into that also.
Yeah. And that's why I began with safety, this sense of exploring safety, exploring what safety is for you. And it might not be in the root, or it might be only 30 seconds. I mean, my story is I had so much pain in my body. I would shake and sweat at night. I had a lot of trauma in my body. And one day I was done. I was fed up. And in a most curious way, I was like, okay, what can I do? I'm done. I don't want to shake and sweat anymore. So I started holding myself like this and just breathing, go, body, teach me, show me. And I'd meet the edge so consistently, like as you said, like just meeting, listening, knowing there's a deeper connection going on than I ever have known, that there's a wisdom to the pain. There's a wisdom to the language of it. So I gave myself that ability, and what happened was all the pain left my body. Don't really live in pain much anymore. Um, and but I was guided through that compassionate listening. It wasn't storming the gates of heaven. It's going, what do I need to know right now? What am I available for? Consistently asking. It's kind of built into me now, so I don't really think about it. But if we storm the gates of heaven, the heaven gates will close pretty quickly. They won't stay open. So if you storm the body in a way that's not just like I have a horse right outside here. And so if we go towards a horse really quickly, the horse is going to go, whoa, whoa, get away from me. But if I actually breathe, I forgot to mention this. If you breathe and resonate, no matter what you're feeling, it could be fear, anxiety, tremendous joy, anger. But if you're in touch with it in the right relationship, even nature won't be afraid of you because you're in touch with it. There's a resonance. So this breath actually would also make you very coherent with the earth animals too. I have a wild Mustang right there, and it came right up to me, and the owner was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, yeah. If we just ground into the belly, they feel us because we're embodied. We're in our body.
Well, and that makes me think, and
Good, yeah.
we'll shift gears in a moment, but about, right, this grounding, this resourcing. We're literally rooting into this sacral reservoir and rooting into the earth. And as you talk about, it's like the knowing nature of knowing nature. And,
Yeah.
right, it's like our vibration matches that of the earth, which is why grounding, literally walking barefoot on the ground or being outside, is so powerful and helpful to our whole body mind vessel, right? Because it brings us into resonance. And so I think as you speak about the horse, it's like this practice supports the body being in its natural resonance, which nature needs nature.
And is the awakener of nature's intelligence in us, which in my opinion, is one of the greatest healers, is to be with nature more often, to be with nature. And that's, we see a lot of systemic issues coming from the disconnection from nature, which is your body. It doesn't mean we have to go on a walk. It's actually tuning into the body. That is nature, you know? And it's fascinating to watch how nature responds to us when we're aligned. They're a great litmus test of where we are quickly, especially wild Mustangs.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep. Or squirrels. I have a squirrel that comes up to me now too, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And also, I want to just say one more thing for the people who are going to listen later. The more we do this, what I've noticed and muscle tested is that the root chakra gets stronger. So if someone's root chakra is like a little too twisted off to the right, and the more we focus and give compassionate attention to the body, it actually naturally heals the energy system and it becomes a hose. Through consistent attentive practice, the energy field changes dramatically. And that's pretty fascinating to me because that says your attention is a great healer. The way you're attending actually is a natural healer. And for me, I dork out on that because that means your attentive quality to your life can actually heal it, strengthen it, and integrate it naturally done with the right attention and tools. That's pretty magnificent to me. That's probably one of the greatest discoveries that we can make about our life, that you're your own healer once we give compassionate attention to the things that are arising. It's pretty amazing, especially to the energy field that's beyond our conscious mind. Yeah.
So much, so much. We could go on for days,
Yep.
but that is a perfect segue, the energy field that is beyond our conscious mind, to tune directly into that field and see what the collective innate wisdom wants to bring to the table to support us in integrating this information today. So we will move into that if that's okay with everyone. Anyone have pressing questions or anything? And then we're going to open it up for some questions and reflections. So beautiful. So you can, just allow yourself to be in a way that feels comfortable for you. If that means closing the eyes, if that means lowering the gaze, we do this to eliminate some of the stimulation. Jacob mentioned silence, right? Sometimes just the stimulation in a way holds its own type of noise. And so it's whatever feels safe and comfortable in your body. And let's invite a full breath in together, however that feels welcome in your body. Smooth exhale. Feeling again down into the root of the self. Perhaps resting the attention right around that lower area in the body where Jacob guided us so beautifully to attend to the root. And breathing. With each exhale, just imagining as if you could release a little bit more into that grounded energy, into the loving hands of Mother Earth, releasing a bit more into the support of gravity that's here. Just taking another full breath, receiving. Smooth exhale, releasing. Just going to tune in through the modality of body talk. And so as you listen and receive, just knowing that there's nothing that you need to hold on to here. Number one, you'll receive the recording. And also, it's just already doing its work. I invite you to focus in on the exhales, focus in on the root, the felt sensations of breath in your body. So we are working with an agenda, which is like an overarching focus here for safety. And it's like an invitation to increase the sense of safety with the turning toward by about threefold. Feeling into those roots, feeling into the legs. And the first thing coming in is we're going to check in with the body chemistry. So I invite you, if you want, you can take a little lick of saliva on one of your fingers and just rub that under your collarbone so you get your individual body chemistry in here. Anyone listening to the recording can do the same. We're also working with the collective. So everyone who's registered is here in this field. We're going a little deeper into the body chemistry. We're working with an intolerance. This is an emotional intolerance coming from the internal world, right? So it's our own emotion versus other people's. And we're working with the emotion of fear. And this is like a vital fear, like tying into that safety. And so we're bringing some balance into this. This is coming directly into the vagus nerve. It's like we're highlighting the natural consciousness of the vagus nerve and the way that it is designed to support us in our parasympathetic and our release, our relief mode. It's like we're giving that permission here. Breathing. And just what comes up to name is some of the other factors, societal pressures, conditioning around doing that has kind of made us fearful to come inside, to turn toward. It felt like absence of permission. And so we're just going to tap this in. You can just receive the tapping, or you can be active. And just tapping overhead, heart, and abdomen. Just releasing the hands whenever that feels like it's been enough. And so now we're linking into, we're working with energies. We're linking into what we call the 21 minor chakras. So if you just think at your joints, at the hands, at the feet, the ankles, the wrists, the elbows, shoulders, hips, breathing in. This is linking into the 7 main chakras with a particular focus on that first, that root chakra. And so we're highlighting the interconnectivity here between these energy vortexes within the body. And just inviting a full breath as we give these permission to open and to communicate more fully today. Jacob, I just want to touch in with you. Feels like it's handing over if there's anything you noticed coming in. Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Yes, feel this beautiful response to what you're responding to from earlier. It's nice.
And so as we tune into these points in the body, perhaps imagining in the mind's eye this blue white light energy field coming up from under the feet, coming in through the soles of the feet and traveling all the way up into the ankles, the calves and the shins, into the knees. Just taking a breath here as if the knees could breathe themselves. Traveling up further through the upper legs, into the hips and the pelvic region. And inviting a full breath here. Anchoring the attention into this root. And holding that as we continue to allow this blue white light energy to flow up to the abdomen, center body, solar plexus, traveling up through the heart, across the shoulders, down the arms, resting in the elbows, taking a breath right here. On the exhale, allowing this energy and the attention to travel from the elbows down into the wrists, lighting up that blue-white light energy in the wrists, and also down in the palms of the hands. Allowing this to stay as you breathe in and allowing that energy to travel up the arms, into the shoulders, across the collarbone, up into the neck. Feeling this blue-white light energy in the center of the throat, breathing. And traveling up through the face, the jaw, all of the sinus cavities, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth. Traveling up through the third eye in the center of the head, back of the forehead, and all the way up through the crown, breathing. Just resting here for a moment, receiving. Inviting a full breath. Smooth exhale, releasing this breath through the whole body. Feeling again into that rootedness of self. And we're just going to tap this in. You can tap actively or simply receive. Tapping over head. Tapping over heart. Tapping over the abdomen. Full breath. Exhaling. And as you listen to this sound, inviting a transition, just taking a moment and connecting again in that lower spine, feeling into those roots, feeling into the heart, whenever it feels welcome, inviting that transition. Mm-hmm. So we just want to take a moment and open here to any experience perhaps that you felt in Jacob's guidance or in this portion, any shares, any questions, reflections. And I might just invite, I know right as I'm saying that, I'm feeling the call to really feel into this body. And so I invite you, if it feels welcome, to do the same and notice what's here in this current embodiment of self. Does it feel heavy or light? Does it feel floaty or grounded? Is it easy or challenging to feel into the sensations of the body? Is there quiet or noise? Any other textures that might be here? What's present?
like to share something about this. The noise that can happen in the body, or the chaos of it. There's a myth in the spiritual community that there has to be chaos free to find peace. And I'm going to say that's not true. Or it needs to be noise free to find silence. I know it sounds paradoxical, but I'm going to say that's not true as well. And what I was inviting us into earlier, no matter where we're at, even if we're resisting something, or there's a lot of commotion in the body, there still can be connection, there still can be harmony, there still can be peace. And that was a liberating fact for me, is that, in this place of like, all right, what's this life, and what's meditation, and what's embodiment? And there's a lot of chaos in my system. And there can be some days like chaos. Really, it's just a bunch of voices trying to find their integration, usually. And I'm going to say, even though that goes on, as I approach that with non-judgment the best I can, and just go, yeah, that's just the way the mind is, there still can be a deep silence underneath all of that. When judgment ceases the best we can, because that's a whole entire path into itself, we can realize that two things can be true at once. And that's a fun curiosity to play with. And I also say, play quantum leaps us, rather than seriousness and trying to get there. That if we go, okay, I don't really know, let's find out, and all this commotion's going on, for me, I sometimes get a wink of God, and God goes, it's all okay. You're good just as you are. And your body's functioning just as it is. And there can be an okayness even in the noise. Sometimes we get stuck to go deeper because we think we need to be noise free to enter a deep state of awareness. And that's also untrue. So I want us to just play with that myth around what is peace for you, and challenging that and questioning it, and really living your life as a question more, rather than trying to fit into something you've been told, and maybe testing what you've been told, but really live from your question. What is peace? What is embodiment? What is joy? What's aliveness? Live in that question and ask your body, what do you think this is? What is healing? What is wholeness? Are you the magician of your own life as well? Maybe that's true as well. It's funny, we sometimes forget to ask really great questions, and answers follow questions no matter what. Every time you ask a sincere question, going, you know what is it to be my own healer? And allow the answer just to find itself. And the body, tickle the question into your body. Let it be felt. Let it be sincere, playful, and see if an answer arises that's from your felt sense, rather than just a philosophy or a paradigm. If I were to be honest, that's when I started growing the fastest in who I am authentically. And going, cool, I'm a pretty rad person. All right, let's go. Let's do this. I'm serious. I think we're all really beautiful and rad. I think we don't give ourselves enough credit too. I don't think we give ourselves enough genius as well. I think everyone's an absolute genius, creative artist, and no one can convince me otherwise. And it just is everyone can hear the horse when it goes off. Cool. Right on.
So
That's the Mustang. That's the Mustang.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Like literally right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's right there. It's right there. Yeah, it's right outside the door. Kind of right outside the door almost. Yeah. So really, I want to add that too, is that you have the answers within, as we ask great questions and trust that the body can respond in creative ways. You really do. Yeah.
I think what you're sharing, just
Yeah.
a couple things, and what I hear is what I call rhetorical questions.
Mm-hmm.
So asking a question, but not going to figure and dive in for the answer. One of my favorite tools,
Nice.
favorite tools, but but I love how you're talking about it with embodiment, because that is like a powerful connection, right? To ask the question and then not go digging and diving for the answer, but just to allow it to arise through this relationship of what the body's saying. And one of the things that I wanted to, bring up tonight and at this time was like, we're talking about embodiment. We've been led through some beautiful practices of embodiment, and there are many. And this, like working with a rhetorical question, listening to the answer in the body, here is another way. I was speaking with someone who has been very activated for a while. It's summer, it's season of expansion, all of fire energy. Well, we're shifting as of today, but and so we were talking about embodiment, and they're, living in the city. And I said, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. So I think this goes into what you were sharing about, it doesn't have like the quietness or the noise and the expectation and like the pace, here, what about the pace? It doesn't have to be slow to tune in. We can, sometimes it's just left foot, right foot. Can I tune into that? We can go deeper, we can go, right? So, but different ways. Do I feel the temperature of the water in the shower on my body? Can I be tuned into that?
So,
Anyone have favorite embodiment practices?
I just want to add one more thing. From their birth to your sovereignty, true sovereignty. You got you. You know you. That we're learning to become, trusting our senses again, the most immediate thing. And that sovereignty, you're like, I got me. I know me. I know my truth. I know how I feel. I know the fluctuations. You awaken the daemon within you, the spiritual guide from an embodied place. The sovereignty. Yeah.
That inner authority. Inner authority.
I could do this all night. So I'm gonna do after we hang
I'm
out.
like,
I'm
even
probably gonna do it with a horse though.
well, I was feeling like, so I just will say, I thank all of you for being here tonight, for being here in this phase of this workshop and just resting. Like, I was sitting there when we were first in silence for a moment and truly feeling joy to rest. It felt, I don't know how it felt to each of you, but it felt so comfortable to me and in my body. I actually could feel joy at the recognition that it felt like a comfortable space to just rest in silence with incredible people that I have the privilege of knowing and loving and hanging out with tonight. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence, your attention, Jacob, your wisdom, your teachings. Beautiful, beautiful guidance.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to feel everyone, and Catherine and Carly, both of you. So thank you, and Mike. I haven't met Mike, but Trish, I've met you before, so thank you. And for all the right now non-physical people who will be watching this, deep bows to you as well.
Yeah.
Really grateful. I'm very grateful to share this. Yeah.
And, as you're with the embodiment practices, these or your own, right? Sometimes that discomfort does arise. We work with our tolerance. And then there are also people that we can work with, that we can have receive support from if needed. So enough said. Tonight I could go on, but the wholeheartedness. Mark Nepo in his book Finding Inner Courage talks about wholeheartedness, and what you were speaking of, Jacob, I feel like, like the whole of it. That's what this is about. Can we experience the whole of life and be present to it?
Yes. Yes.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Follow-up email will be coming with all of our contact information. So if you have questions, recordings, anything else, reach out. We're here.
Yeah. I hope my email's there too. If anyone has questions for me, I'm always available. Always.
We'll definitely
Good.
have all your
Good.
contact info.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I won't include your phone number, but no, just kidding.
Everyone call me.
I'm joking.
What did I get into? No. Yeah, what
I
a
just
pleasure.
want to
And
thank you both.
Mm,
Thank you.
yeah,
You're welcome.
you're welcome. Yeah. And also keep it light. Play. Everyone play. Remember to play. That deep embodiment, I feel we lost as children. We got it so quickly. Then we get adults and the survival comes in so strong, right? We got bills, we got people and plans and obligations. And just to remember to invite that play in. I'm learning that. I don't know about everyone else, but as I get older, I'm learning play is very essential and a quality I don't want to lose because it's so healing. And this can be done with more play rather than just suffering and contractions and things like that. Yeah.
Well, we're taught to train the mind to run the body and not to have the body run the mind, and the mind come in to help generate our energy centers and get them working is what I feel it's about.
Nice. Well, Mike, that was awesome. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Revolution. I know. Yeah. And also I want to say there's last thing, I know we're over, but make rest a hobby. Make rest essential. I don't know what happened with rest and why we don't believe in it as much as it is a very powerful thing when we rest. And most people don't rest when they rest. They rest watching a movie. That's not rest. Like really, what would happen just to sink into blankets and a couch and just go, body, have your way, and find what true rest is. Because I think that's going to be a revolution in itself.
Have you read Rest is Resistance?
No. Oh, cool. There you go. Look, I haven't.
Yeah, get on
Okay.
it. Highly
Okay.
we read it as part of our book club, and
Oh, fun.
Well, that's another way of listening to the body too. You drink
Yep.
when you're thirsty, you eat when you're hungry,
Correct.
rest when you're tired,
Yes.
and enjoy joy when it happens.
Yeah.
Nice. Beautiful. Yeah.
And we neglect rest, like we were forced to, when you're an athlete, you get injured or, your life gets overwhelming and then you have a breakdown in whatever form that is. I'm always like, if I don't rest, I know it'll catch up. So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So many, right. Back to the inner authority, we get to recreate the actual authentic beliefs, right? Because as you're talking about rest, and as you were saying that, Catherine's making me think of like the medical field, and it's so many examples, right? Like doctors in training, for example, like they're not getting a lot of rest. And this is coming from our healthcare providers. So, right, like there's a ripple down. There's definite mindsets that we get to recreate and we get to reform and sort of disrupt and go with what is really right here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I send you all big hugs. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have
Bye,
a
everyone.
beautiful
Everyone.
evening.
Good one.
Thank you.